What we're now going to do is start to place in our rivers. And the reason why I like to put rivers in at this point is you probably want your forest to go around them. So we're building our overland map in a particular method: land, mountains, rivers, vegetation, other things. So that's a really good, typical way of building out a map. So to add the rivers, I'm going to use this tool here, which is our default river tool. Right click. And you can see there's a bunch of different river sizes here. I like to start from the mountains and work my way to the coastline. Other people like to start from the coastlands and work their way to the mountains. Doesn't matter. Whichever one you do, try to create rivers that start in the mountains as a small stream or just small, and then they work their way, and then you create another end of the river and work their way bigger, bigger, bigger until you get all the way to the coastlands. So let's start small. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. There we go, zooming in on the map. I'm going to start a small river here. You'll also notice that my cursor is sort of snapping as I move around, and that is because I have got snap switched on. I'm going to turn that off for the sake of creating rivers. I'm going to start behind this mountain, and that'll do. So there's a bit of a river. If I refresh, you'll notice that the mountain has got a texture which will actually fade out that river. So in other words, the mountain sits over and fades out the river. Absolutely perfect. And the reason why you want to do that is the artwork of the mountains will then trim the end line of the river. So you won't get this little flat sort of chunky end of the line. Again, right click, default river, and I'm going to go medium. Now here's a little trick. I want to get this end of my river right on that point. To do that, I'm going to use this tool here, which is called the endpoint selection tool. And when you've got that as a modifier, when you're drawing a line or any other element, and you click on another object, it will snap to the end of that line. So now we know that this piece of the river matches perfectly the end of that line. I'm going to now come all the way to my coast. I'm just going to zoom in and do this manually. It'll be easier for me for the moment. And I'm going to drop it right on that coastline there. So you can see my river starts relatively small, goes through a little bit of an increase, gets larger. And if you look at that, yeah, there's a nice little river. Let's now create some rivers that come in right from the top here. Select my river tool. I'm going to start small. I'm going to start way over up here. I'm going to ride along those hill ranges. That looks pretty cool. Stop there. Go and grab my medium river. Select my endpoint tool. Might be a good idea to zoom in on the map as well. Grab that one, continue on. There you go. So now I have a nice river that flows down into that bay. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select a river. I'm going to select, say, pointer there. So rivers in, done, great. Save. Awesome. Now it's your turn. Open up the previous overland map that you started a little while back, and then add those rivers in. Start behind the mountains, start small, move about halfway to the coast, use the endpoint connector to then connect a slightly thicker portion of the river and bring it all the way to the coastline. It'll give you great looking rivers every time. And don't forget to go and visit go.storyweaver.com master mapping. There you'll find all of my tutorials, both the novice tutorials like this one, but also really advanced tutorials that will take your mapping to the next level.